Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I want to talk about Infinity Pool. Infinity Pool is a film that stars Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård. I have a confession to make. I saw this film only because of Mia Goth. I like Alexander Skarsgård as well. It's an actor that I've seen in other films that I really appreciated. But this film, I saw it mainly because of Mia Goth. And why is because I saw Mia Goth in two horror films last year, Pearl and X. And her performances in those films were fantastic, like, especially in Pearl. She was the one that carried Pearl. Like, she carried the Pearl movie. But in X, there were other characters. Like, other characters that had as much screen time as she did. But in Pearl, she was the main character and she carried the whole film. So, her performances in those two films really excited me. And those two horror films were some of the films I like, some of the horror films I enjoyed last year, that I really enjoyed last year. So, when I saw Mia Goth in another horror film, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I had to watch it. So I watched this movie, and honestly, man, it let me down. It really let me down. The film is basically about a couple that is on vacation. While they're on vacation, they meet another couple, and the couple tries to make them to do new things, and the film just unravels from there. I don't want to go into details to spoil it for anyone that's not seen it. So the film just unravels from there. And there are some things I really appreciated about this film. Like, from the beginning, with the way everything was shot and the music and the way the camera was flowing, there was a time when the camera even turned upside down and I was like, oh, that shit was just very unsettling. And all those things they were doing with the camera at the beginning just made it feel like this is a strange place. And that beginning just really set up the craziness or the eeriness of the world. You just see it and you just feel like, okay, something is not right with this world we are in. And I like that, and it is well set up with it. Another thing is, the story does not just happen, it slowly unravels. And I like when horror films do like that. Like, the horror should not just start just like that. Like, it should slowly unravel, let some things build and build and build, and it should just keep building and keep building and keep building until the horror escalates. Like, that is how an horror film should be like, and that is how I like my horror films. So when the film was slowly unraveling, I really appreciated that. But it just kept going, and at some point I was just like, okay, what is this? This is just becoming like a bunch of images that I just put together to just confuse me. Like, that is me just limiting it, but it is more than that. But that was just how I felt when I was watching, because there are a lot of things that were confusing and things that I did not understand. And with the way it was unraveling, it just almost felt boring. Because nothing exciting was happening. It just felt like they were just telling a story that they just wanted to tell. And there's some things about the story that really worked well, that I felt like they could have explored more. I don't spoil anything for anyone, but there was a thing about body doubles, and one of the characters said something fascinating about it. And I was like, yes, I love that. Please explain or explore this thing more, and let's see how this thing comes about. But they only talked about that thing one more time or two more times and just forget about it. Like, that plot never really went anywhere. And I felt like that was one thing that was most interesting about the whole thing, that they've done all this well. And explore this thing and make this film more interesting. But it didn't. And it was just so sad, because this is a story that could have had a lot of potential. And they just told the surface and didn't really go deep into the story. I wish they had gone deep into the story, but it didn't go deep into the story. I just told stuff on the surface and just forget about it. And it just felt lackluster to me. Like I said, Mia Goth is the reason I watched this film. And her performance in this film was something I did not expect, and something I have not seen from her before. Okay, I've only seen some of her movies, so not much for her to have explored in those two movies. But still, it is a character, it's a performance from her I wasn't expecting. She played this kind of posh, crazy lady. And it was fun to see, and she played it so well. Her mannerisms were so good, and her reactions, her voice, what she did with her voice was so good, and I really enjoyed her performance. Not just Alexander Skarsgård. I saw a film from Alexander Skarsgård last year, The Northman. Oh my god, that film blew my mind. It was one of my top films I saw last year, and that film really blew my mind. And seeing Alexander Skarsgård in that role was just fantastic. And seeing him in this role is completely different from the role in that film. In this film, he plays someone that is slowly losing his shit, and he plays it so convincingly. And at a point, I was like, trying to compare him with the character he played in The Northman. I was like, these are two different people. And it's just something that fascinates me, when an actor can play one role and play a totally different role in the next movie. It's just something that blows my mind and makes me appreciate the movie. And the two main actors, Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård, they really do that, and they feel like different people in this world, like real people in this world, and their performances were like almost the best thing about this film, and I really appreciated them. But as much as I appreciated them, their characters were unlikable characters, because none of the characters, except maybe one character, none of them were likable, and it just felt like I didn't even care for these people. I didn't even support any of these things they are doing. I don't care for them. So it was just like I was just watching a bunch of people doing anything. I was not emotionally connected to what was happening, and it just like took away from the experience. I feel like in this film, if I had cared more for the characters, it would have made me feel much more empathy for them. But because I didn't care for any of them, okay, whatever wants to happen should happen. So I didn't really care for the characters, and just made me not care for whatever happened to them and how the story was unraveling. Like, even if all the characters are not likable, the main characters should be at least likable, should be people that we can get on the side of, but none of them were likable. The only character that was even likable didn't stay for a very long time, and just made the film feel like I was watching a bunch of assholes. Honestly, that's what it felt like. Another thing I noticed about this film, it was like the filmmakers were trying to be artistic, but all the artistic things they were trying to do just made the film more confusing. There are sometimes you watch a film when the director or the filmmakers are trying to be artistic, and you get what they are doing, and you feel it, and like you connect to the story, and the art they are trying to create from that story, it really comes out, and you just appreciate the artistic point of view of the director. But that does not come across here. It just felt like the director and the filmmakers were just experimenting with the story and trying to be too artistic, but all their art and artistic endeavors just felt very confusing, and just made the whole story feel somehow. And I don't like saying movies are boring, but this movie wasn't exciting. It could have been so exciting with that plot thing I mentioned, with the body double thing. If they had explored that thing much more, I'm sure I'll not be saying what I'm saying now, because it would have been a much different story and a much better story. But they didn't, and the characters were not even likable, and a lot of things did not work for this film. The best things about this film were the main characters, Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth. Their performances were out of this world. They knocked it out of the park, the two of them. But other than that, every other thing was just lackluster, and it almost made me feel like, why did I watch this film, self? Well, man, I watched it for Mia Goth, like I've said several times in this video, and I got Mia Goth. I think I have a kind of crush on Mia Goth. So I was excited to see her, and I loved seeing her. But other than that, this film didn't do anything for me, honestly. I would never recommend it for anyone, except if you want to see Mia Goth. Or if you're a fan of Mia Goth like I am, I want to see her, fine, watch it. But that's what you're going to get, nothing else. So guys, have you seen Infinity Pool? What do you think about it? Comment below and let me know. And if this is your first time on my channel, what are you doing? Subscribe to this channel for more contents like this now. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Cheers.